it doesn't hurt, it's not working. Right. And so they'd want me to just destroy their psoas muscle. For those of you in the, listening at home who aren't familiar, it is this really deep abdominal muscle. It's like it's in front of the spine, right? And these young men would want me to just get in there with my elbow into their psoas, or sorry, their psoas. And that's what I thought I had to do, because that's what they as the client were asking. And it was a couple sessions into this internship when I was realizing, I'm like, this is not what they need.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Ramos Law Difference Makers podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jim Hoven, and today I have a really, really fun guest, someone who's doing cool things in the world and making a difference in her own way at multiple levels. My guest today is Mrs. Amber Briggle with Soma Massage Therapy, and we are going to talk about all things soft tissue work, all the way up to business ownership, leadership, management. So this is going to be a wide-ranging podcast. So if you want to learn about some of the benefits of massage, stick around, you're going to hear it. If you want to hear about how to have a great work culture, stick around, you're going to hear it. If you want to learn about how to crush it as either a woman or a man in business, stick around, you're going to hear it. So without any further ado, we're going to get into this. But before we do, if you like this, if you find it valuable, please share it, pass it forward, do all the things that let us know that you like it by liking us, thumbs up, hearts it, engage, hit the bell ringer thing, do all that stuff for us, please, because that's how we'll continue to make a difference too. So anyway, enough of the self-promoting stuff. Amber, welcome to the show.
Dr. Jim, thanks so much for having me on today. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Yes, even the prequel to the show that you and I were talking about got me excited. It seems like where you've been in your journey has been a fascinating one. So before we dive into massage, how you're applying it, and then how you as a business person are using that to make a difference in more lives, can you give us just a little background about yourself, number one, and then how massage ended up being your calling as the number 2 point?
Yeah, I'm on all by accident. Truly by accident, just keeping myself open to what was next and what the next best thing would be. So I grew up in a real small town in the upper Midwest and went to another real small town for college, and didn't really know what it is that I wanted to do, but just kind of knew that I wanted to go to college and do something with my life. And I went to a fantastic school, College of St. Benedict. It was an all-girls Catholic private liberal arts school. Great school. I had no regrets at all, but I graduated and I really kind of didn't have a direction. I had a really fascinating degree that made me really cool to hang out with at cocktail parties, but really wasn't very marketable. Moved around a bit, landed in Boulder, Colorado a few years later with my college sweetheart, who is now my husband. He was going to grad school. He's a philosophy professor at one of the universities here. And he was going to grad school, and I was just so inspired every day by how he was learning and like just doing incredible things, and had this sort of vision for his future. And I was working at a daycare. And early childhood education, so important, right? It's the foundation for our education, for education in general, and education is the foundation for our democracy, right? So like absolutely 100%, like early childhood education is so important, but it was not my calling. It was not what I wanted to be doing with my life. And I didn't really know what was next. I didn't want to go to grad school because I didn't know what I wanted to focus in. And I didn't want to go back and get another 4-year degree because I was still kind of floundering. But when you're in Boulder, you're kind of one of three things. You're a yoga instructor, you're a dog whisperer, or you're a massage therapist. And I, growing up in the upper Midwest, had never really gotten a professional massage before. It would typically, put an ice pack on it, walk it off, pop an aspirin. But it was something that I thought I might kind of like to do. I've always been really interested in alternative modes of healing and wellness. I'm a very touchy-feely sort of person. I really like being around people. It was only a 1-year program, so I thought I'd register and see what would happen. And I graduated in a year at the top of my class, graduated with honors, and went on to just crush it out there. I was actually Funnily enough, fired from my very first massage shop at a chiropractic clinic, actually.
Oh no,
Because
I'm
I
sorry. I apologize
know.
on our behalf as a
No, no,
professional.
no, 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 no. And it wasn't because I was doing anything wrong, but I had done, I had a really, at that, finally, I had a clear direction. Finally, I knew what it was that I wanted to do. And my idea of massage and what I was called to do was really different from what this chiropractor was expecting me to do. And as an employee, I was supposed to do what he wanted me to do. And it was just a bad fit. So I got fired. I went home, had a glass of wine, as one does when they get fired, washed the wine glass in my sink and sliced my thumb open. So then I couldn't even work on my private practice. And I was
Oh
like, okay,
no.
this is a really crappy opportunity for me to sit back and think about what it is that I'm doing with my life. What direction do I want to take? And I realized with after some discernment that if I was splitting my energy between two competing forces, helping this chiropractor kind of expand his portfolio and grow his business, or help, grow my own business, the two could not work in collaboration. They were two competing interests. And that experience made me really realize that I'm going to be a really bad employee and I'm a much better boss because I know what it is that I want to do. So I went into business only for myself. And it was at that point that everything just kind of started to fall into place because it was up to me to make sure that my books were full of appointments, to make sure that I was getting myself out there in marketing, to make sure that I was, reaching the right demographic. It was up to me. And I freaking loved it. It was amazing. We lived in Boulder for a few more years before we moved to the Netherlands for a couple of years. My husband had a postdoc research position over there. Very easy to transfer as a massage therapist, no matter where you're at, because wherever my hands go, I can go to, obviously, and just continue to work in the Netherlands. Then a few years later, we landed here in the Dallas area, and I very quickly had more demand than supply. There's only so much massage I can safely do in a day. And my books, I mean, I was booked, Dr. Jim, for 2.5, 3 months out. And if you wake up today and you're reaching for your coffee cup and sneeze at the same time and throw your neck out, you didn't want to hear that the 4th of July was my next opening. You want to be able to get in within the next day or two. So I started referring people out to other therapists that I had met since moving to town, and thinking that they could at least kind of get like a touch up there and then come back to see me. But some of those clients wouldn't always return, not because the other therapist's work was necessarily better or their rates were better, but like maybe they were closer to them. Maybe their schedule fit their schedule a little bit better. Whatever it was, I wouldn't always get a chance to see them back in my own studio. And I realized pretty quickly that it would make more sense for me to refer them in-house than to send them elsewhere. And so that began the process of starting my own business, which is now Soma Massage Therapy. I did all the things that I needed to do. I went down to the Small Business Development Center and asked, like, how do you start a small business? And they gave me like a checklist of things to do. And I just kind of waited for the right person to come along. It's very hard to advertise for an opening for a new massage therapist when you're working out of the spare bedroom of your house. Like no one's heard of me before. So I had to wait, but I found the right person. She was brilliant. Then she got busy and I had to just keep growing from there. So eventually I moved out of my home into a storefront about a mile away. We were there for about 8 years before COVID hit. And you as a chiropractor know you can't do massage or chiropractic from 6 feet apart. Can't do it online. 85% of massage therapists are women. And there's a lot of data out there that shows how massively women's careers were negatively impacted during COVID because a lot of times we earn less than our male partners, right? And so if someone has to stay home because schools are closed, it's typically going to be the woman. And so a lot of women lost their careers. So now I don't have a workforce, right? I've got a ton of clients that want to come in and see me, but we were ordered to be closed by the governor. So I was just kind of sitting there and not really knowing what was going to happen, but I was determined to make sure that my business survived because I had not done anything wrong. It's not like I'd made a bad ethical decision, or was cheating on my taxes. It was a global pandemic, right? And so I just buckled down and I really was determined to make this thing grow bigger and stronger than ever before. And then a year later, after we were able to reopen, we reopened in a beautiful new space, really close to downtown. We have our own parking lot. We're on a hard corner. It's like this beautiful curb appeal. I have twice as many rooms. When we closed, I had 13 therapists and 4 massage rooms when we reopened. Now I have 25 therapists. 7 massage rooms at one location, 1 massage room in a chiropractic clinic. So I've got 2 locations now. We're grossing over $1 million a year. We're now looking at franchising. And I'm just like, I'm so blown away by how this sort of accident of not really knowing what it was that I wanted to do in my youth has turned into this like really promising career and really smart business model that's generating, you know, tens of thousands of dollars a month in payroll for local workers, and has the potential to go coast to coast and heal thousands of people on a daily basis. So
I
that's
love that.
yeah. So
That's so
I'm
good. What a great history and intro. I want to ask you this. So before, I promise we're going to get into massage here,
Mhm.
but you said something that you've probably never been asked before. And I can't help it. I asked those kind of questions one time. What's it like being married to a professor in philosophy? Like, what are
Yeah.
those dinner and holiday conversations
Oh,
like?
well,
Because
they
that, I mean, by the way, have you used a word discernment? Have you ever heard of the working genius
no, what's the
assessment?
working genius? Tell me about that.
So the working genius is something that is it's a test, but it's not a personality profile test. It's more of a productivity tool test. And if you've ever heard of Death by Meetings from Pat Lencioni, Death by
Um,
Meetings, or any of the books he wrote, or the Table Group, which is his consulting group, he has this working genius, and there's 6 geniuses. All of us have 2 geniuses, 2 competencies, and 2 working frustrations. Means it doesn't mean we have to be bad at any or all of them, but if we're in our geniuses, most of the time we are happy. So when you say discernment, that actually is one of the genius. Another genius is wonder. And the wonderers, the one with the wonder genius, typically have that big question, and the philosophical thinkers and all that. So when you put those 2 together, just got my mind spinning. So
yeah, love it.
anyway, just kind of as an adjunct, what is it like being married to a professor of philosophy?
Well, I mean, he's really super smart, which is an incredible turn on. I adore him and his brain. It was a lot more fascinating though before we got kids. I mean, Dr. Jim, it's like we've been married almost 25 years now, and our relationship is highly transactional at this point. Like, who's picking up? We need kitty litter. Who's picking the kids up? Like, but we do try to do we've been much more intentional in the last year or so, even just setting up coffee dates during when the kids are at school, and like there's, we actually have like everyone's out of the house and just sitting down and just talking. And it's really great to get reconnected. But yeah, he's pretty smart. I'm kind of I'm obviously not as wise as he is when it comes to, I can't state all the facts and all the, the dead
Of
white.
Plato and some of the
Yeah, but we do have really good synergy. I ask the right kinds of questions, which gets him going, and then back and forth. And so, which I also think being married to a philosopher makes me pretty good at looking at like the big picture, like the view from the balcony. Like for example, years ago, I used to be serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission for my community, and I thought I had to know absolutely everything about all the zoning details, and I didn't. What my skill set, what I was really good at, is looking at what kind of community are we trying to build. Not like, yeah, this fits here, and we have to make sure that the setbacks and the zoning, and there's a certain number of landscaping requirements, and that's fine. But what kind of community are we trying to build? And I think I kind of learned that from being married to a philosopher for as long as I have, and that we're just like, what is the greater good? What are we looking at? Which also then kind of influences my business, right? Like, what's the horizon? Where are we going with all of this? Yeah, what
true
like
leadership, a visionary.
yeah, like I mean, here's the decisions that we're making, but why are we making these decisions? Like, what direction are we going when we make a decision like this? Like, what's coming down the road? That's very sort of philosophical, and he's definitely influenced that.
I
Yeah.
love that. Okay, so thank you for humoring me with that.
Uh-huh.
I want to now jump into massage. So as a chiropractor, we had a bunch of practices when I was doing my thing, and every single one of them had people that did soft tissue work, manual therapy, massage therapy, however we want to call it or label that, and then people that did exercise. So I got a diplomate in sports injuries, and so that was my model, right? It wasn't just adjust someone and let them go. I
Right.
understood even before I really, really was tuned into how different modalities affected proprioceptors. Before all of that in my mind, I knew that working on more systems, musculoskeletal, was going to be better than working on one system alone. And so we were really tight with our massage therapists.
Yeah.
Can you define for people who maybe have never been to a massage therapy or, hear about massage therapy and the happy ending or,
Oh,
what
ugh.
is Chinese massage or
Yeah.
Thai massage? Can you
Mhm.
just give a general answer on what is massage and why is it so darn beneficial at two levels? One, the injury recovery level, whether it's that from physical or mental stresses and traumas, and two, from the emotional and I don't know that we would go so far as say spiritual, but at least from the emotional, mental side of the coin of your beautiful art.
Yeah, yeah. So Soma, the name of my business, Soma Massage Therapy. Soma comes from the Greek and Latin meaning somatic, which means body and feeling, right? A lot of people will write it like all caps, like it's an acronym, like I don't know, super outstanding massage by Amber or something like that. It stands for it's short for somatic. And what we're really trying to do at Soma Massage Therapy is get people out of their brains and back into their bodies. Everyone's so cerebral all day long. Their jaws are clenched, their tongue's on the roof of their mouth, their breath is all up here. They're straining their scalenes. We breathe 7.5 million times a year. 7.5, like 22,000 times a day. And if you're breathing up here with your neck, you're going to strain something really easily. And so we're trying to get people back into their bodies, which is going to have a myriad of benefits, right? So it's going to decrease your blood, oftentimes can decrease your blood pressure. I've had several clients talk to me actually about how they've been able to either wean off or reduce their blood pressure medication because they're coming in for regular massages. When you have that cortisol, that stress hormone, in your body, it has so many, as you know, being a chiropractor, so many negative effects on inflammation, on weight gain, on heart health, cardiovascular health, illness, injury, all sorts of things. And so by reducing the cortisol level in your body, we're able to increase circulation, improve lymphatic flow, which is going to boost the immune system. We can also, obviously, if you have stiff muscles and joints, your range of motion is going to be very limited. So it can help with your gait, with your posture. Even just bringing your shoulders back is going to open up your chest, which is going to help with your breath, which is going to help ease the strain on your neck, which is going to help your migraines. I just did a seminar at a staff development day recently, talking about the importance of vision breaks and your suboccipital muscles. So for your listeners at home, if you place your hands right at the base of your skull, like at your hairline, and just kind of look side to side, you should be able to feel those muscles in the back of your head move, even though you're not moving your head. And when I taught that to this group, like it blew their minds. And I'm like, now think about when you're sitting at the computer all day and you're typing and you're stressed out and you're staring, at your screen and you can feel that tension headache creep up from the back of your head and wrap around your eyeballs. That's your suboccipital muscles, right? And just giving people that sort of like body awareness and like how to stretch and why self-care is important. And one of the things I think we're really good at Soma Massage Therapy is our therapists are very mindful about making sure that our clients go home with some sort of, I guess for lack of a better word, sort of homework. That's maybe not the right kind of word because that maybe might stress people out thinking that they got like an assignment to do. But what we're trying to do is give them that body awareness, right? So like you have that stress that starts in the back of your head, it wraps around your eyeballs. Now you have the splitting tension headache, talking to them about like, this is why that's happening. And this is what you can do in the meantime to keep your massage going as long as possible. Not just, drink enough water so you don't feel sore the next day, but also, here's how to stretch that area. Here's how to reduce that eye strain, which should ease up on the tension in those suboccipitals, which should have a number of benefits for the rest of your body. So we really try and look at Soma Massage Therapy as being a very more holistic place, not looking only at sorry, how do I say this? Not only looking at massage therapy as being the thing that we're providing for our clients, but really looking at more self-care. Like our tagline is self-care is how you get your power back, right? Like if you're strained and drained all day long, you're not going to be at your optimal performance. You're not going to be your best self. And so if we can get people back into their body, give them tools for self-care that they can then take out into the world, reduce that cortisol level, reduce that pain, they're going to be feeling better. They're going to be feeling better about themselves. They're going to be contributing better in their own lives and in their community, which is going to benefit the rest of us. And we're really trying to look at this at a more holistic, again, that sort of like bird's eye view. What's the greater good for all of us? And if all of us are feeling better in our bodies, we're all going to be a better community as a result.
I love that. And
Yeah.
there are so many types of massage, right? Like you have
Mm-hmm.
deep tissue, you
Oh,
have some more
cupping.
surface area stuff. You've got all these
Yeah.
different things. And so here's what I would like for you for just because we don't have enough time to describe all of them, but in general, if you could give just an example, like I know that you can stimulate some of the small pain fiber reduction. You can do all these different things by just gently stroking the skin where you feel like a 1 to 2 pressure. You can go really deep when you're doing, different kinds of rolfing or something, and they all fall under soft tissue work.
Mhm.
People might be confused like, ooh, massage is going to hurt, or should it hurt, or it doesn't work if it doesn't hurt. Can you
Mhm.
just describe this concept of different pressures for different situations, and then
Yeah.
what your philosophy on that is at Soma?
Yeah. So I think there's a common misperception that deep tissue work means it's going to be deep pressure. And that's not always the case. Deep tissue is really more of a specific focus on, we're really working on breaking up the adhesions in the fascia. That's like the connective tissue around, well, this the connective tissue all throughout your body, but you're kind of breaking down the adhesions in the fascia and the muscles, really working to on a more like rehabilitative sort of aspect, and not just circulatory and relaxation, but really like a structural postural sort of focus to the work, which is going to be a little more specific in the types of techniques maybe that the therapist is using. It doesn't necessarily mean someone's jackhammering on your upper traps for 45 minutes, right? It can be that, but it's not always that. And so I think there's kind of a common misperception. I'm sorry, I got off track. What was the other part of your question, Dr. Jim?
So basically, just talking about what the differences are in these pressures, like when
Oh,
you might need a light one versus a
mhm.
quote unquote deeper one. And then
Yeah.
what is the strategy that you guys have? Because some people are like, for example, we had one massage therapist, she in one of our clinics, she went and learned the massage therapy technique where you do it with your feet and you have a bar
Ah.
above your head and
Mhm.
you're kind of holding.
Ashiatsu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she would do that on some of our clients but it wasn't on every client. So
Right.
do you guys have a way that you do it
Yeah,
in
we
your system?
do. Yeah, yeah. So when you book a 1 hour massage at Soma, you're going to get an hour of body work. When you book a 1 hour massage at a lot of other places, you're going to get 50 minutes. And it is, as speaking as a massage therapist myself, I've been an LMT for 20 years. You can't get to it all in an hour, right? Like in less than an hour. You need at least 60 minutes to get to pretty much most everything. And so when you book a 1 hour massage at Soma, you're going to get 60 minutes of actual hands-on time, which means we book that appointment at closer to 75 or 90 minutes to have that buffer in there so that you as the client can tell us as your therapist, what are we working on today? How you been feeling since the last time I saw you? What makes it feel better? What makes it feel worse? What's been going on in your life? We want to get the great big picture because sometimes we have a client that walks in and says, I am so stressed out. I want you to jackhammer on my traps for 45 minutes. And then we dig a little bit deeper and we find out, well, their dog left them and their man done left them and they got fired from their job. And it's like, last thing that you really need right now is someone pounding on you. We're just going to do some breath work. We're going to stretch, and that's going to have a much better effect on helping you reach your goals than having someone just destroy you after you've already been destroyed for the last couple of weeks, right? So we really try and like customize every session for every person, knowing also that I've had some clients, I moved to this town about 15 years ago, and I have some clients who started seeing me who are now seeing other therapists, right? So they've traveled with me this whole time, knowing that even those clients that have been with me or with Soma for 15 years, it might be different from session to session. So we always make sure that we have that comprehensive check-in with them to know what it is that we're working on. And then also we use our intuition as therapists. We track their breath. How is their body responding? I early in my when I was still in massage school, I had one of my internships was with the University of Colorado football team.
Mm.
And these young men, like they were trained in their brains, if it doesn't hurt, it's not working. Right. And so they'd want me to just destroy their psoas muscle. For those of you in the, listening at home who aren't familiar, it is this really deep abdominal muscle. It's like it's in front of the spine, right? And these young men would want me to just get in there with my elbow into their psoas, or sorry, their psoas, And that's what I thought I had to do because that's what they as the client were asking. And it was a couple sessions into this internship when I was realizing I'm like, this is not what they need. They do need some psoas work, but I can't be hammering on it because they're bracing against me, which is making it harder on us both. So we have to use also our intuition and our clinical skills as massage therapists to kind of track how the client is responding to the work that we're doing, but also just as importantly, making sure that we're checking with the client to make sure that they're consenting to the work that we're doing, that they understand, our sort of clinical approach to this and making sure that we're able to meet their needs. So it really is going to vary from session to session, especially at Soma, where we really do try and customize every appointment specific to every person's needs. You might not get that at other places. I don't know. Soma is the only place I get massage, but that's something that we're really, really proud of doing is really personalizing and customizing every session to make sure we can meet our clients' needs.
I love that. That's so good. And so I promised we'd have a wide range discussion today. So I got one more conversation on massage itself, or one more question. When it comes to frequency, massage, like chiropractic and like exercise, is something that you don't do it once and then you're good
Right.
forever because
Hmm.
of our movement patterns, because of the way we sleep,
Yeah.
because of our physical and our mental stressors, both micro and macro. All of these things go on. And so if someone wanted to understand the best frequency of massage, I don't know if you guys have a philosophy specifically on it, or if it's kind of an as needed thing, listen to your
Yeah.
body. But I would like for you to share that philosophy because from my perspective, I was thinking one day while I was getting a massage, mind you, I was literally in the middle of a massage and I'm like, this is so important for me to do periodically. What if I could give someone a list of 10 things that they should have in their life, what would those be? And one was a chiropractor, one was a massage therapist, and one was an acupuncturist. Then there was a
Yeah.
dentist, then there was an accountant, then
A
there was a
CPA, I was gonna
banker.
say CPA, have a
Yep, then
lawyer on speed dial just in
yeah,
case, like you
exactly.
never know. Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of went through this thing and I was going to put together a little program on it and do all this and that. I was inspired while I was getting massaged. But anyway, what would you say to someone who said, "Well, how often should I do this?"
Mhm. I mean, again, it's going to vary from person to person. I mean, you might just be needing some general maintenance. You're, relatively young and healthy with good mobility and, no pre-existing conditions. Once a month is probably fine. You know, maybe you are recovering from a car accident, in which case we might want to see you maybe twice a week for some shorter sessions, so that we don't create too much inflammation in those areas that are kind of, touchy right now. Then we can get maybe space it out to maybe once a week for an hour. It really is going to vary from person to person. And what we tell our clients, when they call on the phone, they ask the same sort of thing. Like here's my issue. I'd like to book an appointment. What kind, like how long, like how often should I come in and get seen for this thing? We tell them we're like, without getting our hands on you, it's really hard to determine what that calendar of appointments should look like. But our therapists are all really, really good. They're so good at what they do, and they're very good at being able to assess in that session. I'd like to see you again, maybe in 10 days. Let's add cupping and aromatherapy to that next one, because I do think a little bit of, this blend of these essential oils that can help with pain relief and inflammation, combined with the cupping for the myofascial release might do you some good. And then we can take it from there and see what happens. So it really is going to vary from person to person, but I think your massage therapist is going to be the best one to answer that question for you.
Good stuff on massage. Now,
Yeah.
let's move on into business because
Yes.
I know a lot of people that follow the show are, so we've got a kind of a diverse group. We got some people that want to learn about philanthropy stuff. So we've had a lot of questions or a lot of guests on about that. We've got some that are really into the business side. So we like to talk about that, and some into the clinical side, some into legal side. So that's why we have a really wide range of guests. But I'm excited to talk to you in particular about how you use culture, how you use systems to now, because you realize you cut your hand and you're like, I can't do this. And I don't know, if you followed the E
Yeah.
Myth with Gerber, Michael Gerber, or any of that kind of stuff, like if that was part of your thinking and your process. But when you realize that you can't do it, it's different than as you're postulating, like, I wonder if I shouldn't do it. Right? You were
Mhm.
forced into a position where you
Yeah.
couldn't do it, so it
Yeah.
put you into that mindset. what are some of the things as you're looking at, we'll call it, for lack of a better term, scaling a business where it's beyond you? What are the key tenets that you found? Because I think even if someone watching or listening, if they don't have their own business, if they hear these kind of things, they can create in their own environment
Mhm.
these same types of atmospheres, if you will, that will make their experience better. Because if
Yeah.
you make a great experience for your team,
Mhm.
they're going to give a great experience to your
That's
clients.
true. And that's
So
exactly right. Yeah. And,
yeah,
and that's what I tell my therapist too is obviously we deeply value our clients and we wouldn't have a business without them, but the customer doesn't always come first, right? Like everyone has a hurt back and everyone's stressed out. It's really hard to find really quality massage therapists who are on the same page as me when it comes to this vision of Soma Massage Therapy. So what I tell my team is like you, the therapist, I take care of you first and foremost. And by taking care of you, you take care of the clients, and the clients take care of the business. And it's that, I guess reverse pyramid of like servant leadership, right? Like I want to make sure that I'm caring for the people who then can care for the business. I haven't always been perfect at this, but I'm 47 now, and I've seen some things. And I would say early in my career, I was operating out of, I guess, for lack of a better word, sort of like a scarcity mindset.
mm,
Again, I was working out of my house. No one had really heard of Soma. Then I moved to a storefront, which is really not really even a storefront. It was like the back of a dance studio, and I didn't have a front desk. You kind of had to like knock 3 times and look through the window. It was like a little
nice.
easy. Like it was, I mean, it really worked in this sort of town because this town is very sort of quirky, but it wouldn't work in most places, right? And so again, we're kind of obscure, right? And so I kind of had this like, well, if I don't hire this person, or if I fire this person who's really been just absolutely toxic towards me, like who's going to fill in the gap and how am I going to pay the bills and how am I going to, and what I ended up doing was I spent a lot of my career in the early days kind of appeasing people who were not on the same page with me, not aligned with me and my vision for what it was that I wanted this business to be. And that took away a lot of my energy because I was trying to make people happy who, quite frankly, Dr. Jim, were never going to be happy working with me, quite frankly. Um, and I learned the hard way, and eventually kind of found my footing, honestly, through COVID. I mean, because I survived COVID and I came back like gangbusters, and now we're franchising coast to coast, right? Like I feel a little bit invincible after going through all of that, and also I feel pretty confident in my decision making skills that I if I can guide a high touch business that's primarily employed by women who are suffering in their careers during that time, if I could guide that to where we're at today, I feel like I'm probably pretty smart when it comes to making decisions for my business. And so now, and I was working on this early in my career, but now I'm really solidly planted in this, in this world where I really want to fill my team and my time with people who can support me and who believe in this vision that I'm building. I want there to be a Soma Massage Therapy coast to coast. I want to transform the massage industry. We have a no tipping policy because you as a chiropractor probably never got tipped a single day in your life. Why would you be tipping your massage therapist when we're working on the soft tissues, but it's the same idea, right?
Mhm.
Very similar idea. We have, like I said, full 1 hour sessions. I've got a non-toxic work environment. We don't do monthly memberships because we don't want to lock people into this commitment that might not always work for their life, right? And so we have this like vastly different business model that I want to see coast to coast. And I'm really at a point in my career, and my business is at a point now too, where I really only want to be working with people who can be on board with this and support this 100%. And it's opened me up, right? Because my energy level is no longer focused on all the people who just don't get it or who might be actively working against me. But it's this very collaborative, supportive, non-toxic, forward-thinking, visionary team that I have, right? And
And how
that's
do you create that? Because vision comes from the leader. It starts from the head, and then you have to, at least in my experience, you have to connect with the team, and
Mhm.
you have to share the vision to see if it matches their what I would
Yeah.
call their key values. If the business's core values meets the team members' key values, now we've got synergy.
Right.
How do you go about doing that as you're growing this thing to making sure that those people are taken care of, to make sure that they get it, what it is in your world? Because again, this applies to anything, whether we're coaching a team,
That's
whether
exactly right.
involved in our
Yeah.
church, whether
Hmm.
we're a business owner. Share a
Yep.
little bit about that if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I think it's gonna vary again for the person. I've got really solid leadership at Soma with our management team. That's come with a lot of coaching and one-on-ones because I've had to extract the 20 years of wisdom out of my brain and like inject it into another person. So it's a lot of one-on-ones and coffees and a lot of communication, problem solving together. It's knowing how to find the answers when you don't know the answers. I went to a 4-year school for liberal studies, right? I did not major in business, and then I became a massage therapist. Again, no clue about business. It's kind of like baby proofing your house in real time. Like you see, oh, the kid's gonna stick their finger in that light socket. Like, oh, I can see that my CPA is gonna have an issue with this. Like, how do we solve this problem? So sometimes it's just, finding the right kind of people who can help you answer these questions. When it comes to our therapists, it's, we're very particular. We have a pretty extensive interview process. Um, Someone might be a really skilled therapist, but just not get it, just might not get it. And we would, we're slow to hire. We're very, again, we take a lot of, it takes a lot of discernment, a lot of intentionality to invite someone to join our team. And then when they're there, wanting to make sure that it's sustainable for them, right? So like we definitely have a need for staffing on Sundays. We're short staffed on Sundays, but I've got a lot of therapists who are like, that is my day. That's like, I do not work on Sundays. That is my day with my family, or that is my day at church. That is my day for myself, whatever it is. I am not going to schedule them for a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I have the need for it. But once you start doing that, then you are treating people as a money-making commodity instead of the human beings that they are. This is really hard work, not only physically, but just emotionally, the space that you're holding for people day in and day out. You need to have those breaks. So if we have a therapist who's out sick and they have 2 couples massages scheduled that evening, I'm not going to call a therapist and say you have to drop everything and come into work. They have a life outside of this. So treating people with respect and making sure that the schedule that they need is sustainable. I want to make sure that there's sustainability, because the first thing that's going to, when they get to that point in their life when things are so stressful that they're at a breaking point, the first thing they're going to give up is their job, right? Because family always comes first. Family always comes first. And then I'm stuck all over again with having to find another therapist to fill that gap. And then this other therapist leaves and maybe they take their clients with them. And so, we really do treat our team with a lot of dignity and respect and give them the space that they need, because when you treat your people well and pay them well, they're going to stick around for a while. And I've had therapists who've been with me for 3, 4, 5 years, which is kind of unheard of in this business. And I have more therapists who probably would have still been with me except for COVID. So they they left. But treat your people well, and they're going to treat your business well. Yeah.
I love those. And this has been such a delightful conversation. I want to kind of summarize it. In the first section, we talked about massage therapy and the benefits, talking about how it affects and impacts a human body at the physical level, but also deeper than that. But there needs to be a customized approach to it when someone is getting it, that the therapist needs to be able to get their hands and wrap their brains around that person to help create a
Mhm.
schedule and a frequency and a depth of pressure and a
Mhm.
technique. Then you guys send them home with cool things, whether that's anything from a foam roller to help support what they might want to do at home, or stretches, or,
Mhm.
some sort of little exercises, that kind of thing. Then we moved into talking about the structure that you have in your business, and how what I took from that part was really, Amber, far more of a thing about, hey, if you've never done it before, just keep your mind and your eyes open, pay attention to what's going on, and baby proof the house, which I thought was so
Yeah.
cool as
Yeah.
you're going through it. Does this feel right? Does it look right? Does it seem
Mhm.
right? Try it, test it, and then write it down so that you're pulling this wisdom out, as you said, and
Right.
you're plunking it. You were talking about investing in someone, but plunking your systems down on paper too.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then this final section was about the team, of investing in them, hiring slow, paying attention to that. And I would flip that around as well to say, if you're looking to get on a team, are you that person, right? Can you buy into, if I were coming to work for you and I say, man, Amber, I love what you're doing here. And I've looked at your website and I see what you do. And man, I've been a client here and what you're giving is what I want to give. I would suggest that people should look to be the ultimate team player, as well as what you've done, which is trying to create, find, and cultivate and nurture the ultimate team. Those are my big takeaways from this show.
I love that. You summed it up so well. And then what you said, joining that team, I did really would love to put in a plug for. Again, I've mentioned that we're franchising. So if any of this resonated with you, listeners at home, you don't have to be a massage therapist, right? Like we have, just like when you start a burger place, you don't even know how to cook anything. Like there's operations manuals and guidance and support for you, every step of the way. Same with our business. And so if this resonated with you, if you do want to make a difference in someone's life, if you believe in this vision of holistic healing and manifesting a better person so that we can manifest a greater community, and like if any of this resonated with you, there are franchise opportunities. You can check that out at our website at mysomamassage.com, and I'd be happy to continue the conversation with you.
And that's my Soma Massage, the name of your company.com,
Correct.
right?
That's correct. mysomamassage.com.
Amber, I have one more question for you, and you may have answered it already. So, and by the way, before we get done here, if there's a better way to get a hold of you or an additional way, I want you to make sure you give that. But if it's what you've already shared through the website, that's cool. So here's my final question. Of all your journey, the people you've met, the things you've done, the experience that you've had to this point, is there one piece of advice that has just really either rung true that someone gave you or that you've learned along the way that is now fundamental to who you are and how you do your life that you would like to share with us?
That is a really profound question. Um, I th I think briefly, because there's like again 10 things that I'd like to
Yeah.
say. Just know where you're going. Know what your horizon is. You might kind of meander along the way, but as long as you don't get off track, just know where your horizon is. And if there's someone or something that's pulling you away from that or obscuring your vision, dump them. Dead weight. It's not going to serve you. You're going to spend more time appeasing them and it's going to take you much longer to get to where it is you're going. So know where you're going. You might not know the details of every single answer along the way, but if you have that vision, my vision is a Soma Massage Therapy, coast to coast, and healing thousands of people on a daily basis. That's my vision. I don't know exactly how I'm going to get there, but I know that's where I'm going. So find your North Star and stay directed. Go in that direction and don't let anything or anyone take you astray. Just keep going.
Man, that's brilliant. You got me all kinds of excited. I love what that helps me refine our vision here at the law firm and what we're doing. And this was so good. Amber, I hope you had a great time. Is there any other contact information that you would like to give out before we head out, or do you want
Yeah,
to
I
repeat
mean,
just your website again?
sure. Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just it's Amber Briggle. You can on our website we do have a tab for franchising. You can fill out a form there and get more information. But you can also just fill out there's a contact us form. Again, it's mysomamassage.com. You can shoot me a message through the website. I'd be happy to get in touch with you.
Well, Amber, I wish you well. I know that you guys are heading on a fun trip and
Yes.
actually heading down here. If you have any free time while you're down here, let me know and maybe we'll have a chance to all get together. Does that
I
sound good?
love it. I love it. Dr. Jim, this was a really fun conversation. Thanks so much for your time today.
Absolute pleasure. I wish you well and continued success.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, Amber.
Thanks so much.
Now, until the next time we see you all, I hope that you take care as well, that you've learned something from this. And if you have, please share it, please send it around, listen to it again, and take what you can, because every experience is a learning opportunity. And until we see each other next time, continue to get out there and make a difference.